All right, guys, so today we've got a potential leak to talk about regarding the title name for Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. We have had 2 full trailers for the sequel to Breath of the Wild, and one thing that we have not seen so far is the actual name of the game. For a game that's set to release in 2022 this year, the fact that we don't know what the name is still should be some cause for alarm, but this is Nintendo we're talking about, so we shouldn't be that concerned. What we do have, though, is a potential rumor / leak regarding the sequel's name. Hey everyone, Wes here, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time watching my channel, do me a favor, hit the like button on this video and subscribe with your notifications on. And without further delay, let's go ahead and jump into this potential leak for the name of Breath of the Wild 2. Now, before we dive into the nitty-gritty regarding this leak / rumor, I want to talk about one of the reasons why we have not yet seen the actual title for Breath of the Wild 2 revealed. In an interview with the Nintendo of America senior product marketing manager Bill Trinan, they told IGN that there's a good reason that Nintendo refers to the game as the sequel to Breath of the Wild and not the actual title of the game that we're going to be getting this year. The Nintendo rep said, as for why we're holding back on the name, you'll just have to stay tuned because obviously Zelda names are kind of important, Trinan said. Those subtitles, they start to give a little bit of hints about what maybe is going to happen. Trinan then stated that he understands why people are calling it Breath of the Wild 2 even though Nintendo isn't, because it's going to be a shorthand and it's natural for people to want to find a shorthand way to frame it, but insists we're still calling it the sequel to Breath of the Wild. So to put it in simpler terms, whatever the actual title of the game is going to be, it's going to paint the picture of what the plot is going to be for Breath of the Wild 2, and they're trying to hold back on that and wait for the surprise for the actual reveal trailer, I'm assuming. Now, shifting focus to the actual rumor that we have, this is according to the website paulgalenetwork.com. In an article they posted the other day, they stated, rumor Breath of the Wild 2 sequel name was The Legend of Zelda Breath of Duality, which at first reading of that title, it doesn't sound that good at all. It doesn't sound like a Legend of Zelda title, or a subtitle rather. We'll dive a little bit more into that in a minute, but continuing on with the actual article, they stated, hey everyone, Paul Gale Network just received a rumor and it revolves around just what is the mystery behind the name of the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So that first line right there is raising my sus alarm up to the maximum. The fact that this is not a source, this is a source of a source. But alas, we will continue with the article. They stated that according to the intel, the sequel to Breath of the Wild and its main hook is right in the name, which establishes on the breath from the 2017 hit and giving it a nod to the fact that you can play as more than one aforementioned titles Link, including various polar themes, hence duality. Duality between character abilities on land and floating regions, past and present, darkness and light, etc. The individual did note that this name was seen a considerable amount of time ago, supposedly, and could have been one of many template titles. They then stated that this is a rumor for a reason because it does not come from a direct source. If real, it does make sense as to why Nintendo and Mr. Eiji Aonuma have been so hush-hush on the title. If fake or not final yet close to what the actual name ends up being, this still makes an interesting topic to discuss. What do you think of The Legend of Zelda Breath of Duality as the potential name of Breath of the Wild sequel? Paul Gale then gave their take, stating that I can certainly see this being real. However, due to not having any direct proof, we'll take this with skepticism. Paul Gale then stated, I have seen what buying into rumors can do and what sharing them can bring, so please take this with a grain of salt, which should definitely be the main takeaway for this rumor / leak. Now, as for the name Breath of Duality, I don't think it's too far off from reality. One of the aspects for the sequel to Breath of the Wild that a lot of people are excited about is in the form of a playable character that is Zelda, with Link's arm being corrupted by malice and getting healed, which grants him new abilities, which allows Link to actually take tasks and learn different abilities using the skies above, and then of course Zelda being more grounded, utilizing the Sheikah Slate as another playable character. I'm kind of picturing a game like GTA where you can actually hot swap in between characters, which could make for some interesting co-op play. With Nintendo being the Switch and having 2 Joy-Cons, I can see them wanting to capitalize on a potential cooperation experience in the Zelda universe. Now, as for what I think the actual name can be, I think the Breath of the Duality is a solid name, although I've seen others that seem even more likely, like Death of the Wild, with the malice completely taking over Hyrule and destroying it even more than it already has been. And then there's the most likely possibility that the subtitle is completely different. It doesn't have anything to do with of the Wild, Death of the Wild, Breath of Duality, and it's just a completely brand new subtitle. As much as I like the Breath of the Wild subtitle, I think for this game, it should be treated as its own mainline game. Yes, it is a sequel, but it's very much its own Zelda. It's similar to Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask. Yes, it's in the same Hyrule. It utilizes the same map with similar assets, and it is a continuation on the story of Breath of the Wild 1. It is a sequel, but it should be still treated as its own entity, which is why I could see them moving away from the Of the Wild subtitle. But then again, the original Breath of the Wild was a smash hit for the Nintendo Switch, so I could see them try to latch on the success of Breath of the Wild 1 by retaining a similar subtitle structure that we've seen with the first game. Now, whether or not Breath of Duality is the title or not, one thing that is worth mentioning is the fact that the name actually fits for what we're going to be getting for Breath of the Wild. Obviously, we know that there's the skies above and also the dungeons down below, and the Edge of Duality is a sword in Breath of the Wild, which was a double-handed Sheikah sword that was crafted using ancient technology for the Knights of Hyrule. And then if we take the possibility of Zelda being a potential playable character, if she ends up being a playable character, then that is two different characters, so Edge of Duality or Breath of Duality could make sense. So if this rumor ends up being true for the name Breath of Duality, and then we get Zelda as a playable character, then the only thing that it really confirmed was the fact that Zelda is indeed a playable character, but at this point it is just speculation. As much as I would love to see Zelda as a playable character, historically Link has been the playable character and Zelda has been the damsel in distress, but I have a feeling that this game is going to be a little bit different, and for that reason I am excited. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are on this topic. Do you think the name is going to be Breath of Duality? Do you want it to be Death of the Wild? Or what is your suggested name for the sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? Let me know down below. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel with your notifications on, and don't forget to stay tuned to the channel for more news, leaks, and rumors regarding the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2.